A dream wedding, a secret helicopter entrance, and a shocking twist that no one saw coming. Stay with us as we dive into the unforgettable story of Rosemary and Udi's big day turned tragic. This is one video you won't be able to turn away from. On Sunday, December 4th, 2016, Rosemary Silva and Udi Damasceno were all set to have their dream wedding in a beautiful countryside area near São Paulo, Brazil. Rosemary, who was 32 years old, had planned a huge surprise for her groom, Udi, who was 30 years old, and all their guests. She wanted to make a grand entrance by arriving at the ceremony in a helicopter. Can you imagine the excitement? But just minutes before this spectacular moment, something terribly sad happened. Rosemary and Udi first met in 2013. Back then, Rosemary was a nurse, always taking care of her patients, while Udi was a skilled locksmith, fixing locks and helping people get back into their homes. They both went to the same evangelical church, but they had never really spoken to each other. For 2 years, they were just faces in the crowd. Then, in 2015, things changed. At a church event, they finally noticed each other. Their eyes met, and it felt like sparks flew. They started chatting, exchanging smiles, and soon those little talks turned into deeper conversations. They found themselves looking forward to seeing each other at church every week. Their first date was magical. They walked along the beach, talking and laughing, and by the end of the night, they knew they had found something special. Their relationship quickly blossomed, filled with joy and love. It wasn't long before Udi asked Rosemary to marry him, and she said yes. They were thrilled and couldn't wait to start their life together. Planning the wedding was like a dream come true for Rosemary. She wanted everything to be perfect. She had been dreaming and saving for this day for years. From the flowers to the music, from the venue to her dress, every detail was chosen with love and care. She wanted a fairy tale wedding, and she was determined to make it happen. One of the highlights of Rosemary's plan was her grand entrance. She wanted to surprise everyone, especially Udi, by arriving in a helicopter. She imagined herself descending from the sky, capturing the awe and admiration of her guests, and making an unforgettable memory. This plan was a closely guarded secret, known only to a few, including her brother, the event organizers, and a close friend. A few weeks before the wedding, Rosemary arranged a 20-minute helicopter flight with a local company. It cost around $400 and was supposed to add a touch of magic to her special day. On the morning of December 4th, Rosemary's day started early. By 7 a.m., she was already at the beauty salon, having her hair and makeup done. By 2 p.m., she was dressed in her stunning white wedding gown, ready to become Udi's wife. According to her plan, she traveled to a nearby location where the helicopter would take off. She even had a brief photo session before boarding the helicopter, capturing her joy and excitement. Only a few people knew about this secret flight: Rosemary, the event organizers, her older brother Silvano Silva, and the wedding photographer Naila Neves, who was 6 months pregnant. The helicopter, a Robinson R-44, took off around 3:30 p.m., aiming to arrive at the wedding location by 4 p.m. Meanwhile, at the wedding site, Udi was getting ready. He put on his tie and headed to the altar, thinking his bride was already on her way. The guests were eagerly waiting, unaware of the tragic events that were about to unfold. The weather was clear and sunny when the helicopter took off, and everyone was in good spirits. Rosemary and her brother Silvano looked happy, though Silvano was nervous about flying and had only agreed to this for his sister's sake. Pilot Peterson Pinheiro was confident as he controlled the helicopter. As they flew, however, the weather began to change quickly. Fog and drizzling rain set in, making visibility poor. Silvano grew increasingly nervous, and the photographer Naila started asking the pilot questions about their situation. Despite the worsening conditions, Rosemary remained calm, holding her brother's hand to reassure him. The fog made it difficult to navigate, but Naila trusted the experienced pilot. However, the deteriorating weather posed significant challenges. Suddenly, the helicopter began to fall. Back at the wedding, guests started to get restless. Rosemary was supposed to arrive half an hour ago. The pastor informed Udi that the bride would be late due to bad weather, which seemed like a minor delay typical at weddings. But this delay was far from ordinary. The farm owner, where the ceremony was being held, grew concerned and called Udi aside. He had heard that the helicopter had crashed, but had no further details. Udi was devastated but held on to hope that Rosemary and the others were safe. Minutes later, the farm owner delivered the devastating news. No one had survived the crash. Shock and disbelief spread among the guests. The crash site was just 2 miles from the ceremony location. When the helicopter didn't land at a nearby soccer field as planned, it raised alarms, and an investigation was soon underway. The main reason behind the crash was the poor visibility caused by the weather. The pilot lost his sense of direction and flew too low, hitting a tree. The crash happened in a dense forest, making it hard for rescuers to reach the site quickly. Even though someone might have survived the initial impact, the delay in rescue efforts meant that everyone on board died. After the crash, the National Civil Aviation Agency looked into the incident. They found out that the helicopter wasn't legally allowed to carry paying passengers like Rosemary and the others. The pilot was experienced, but the bad weather and poor visibility were too much for him to handle. In the aftermath, families and friends of the victims mourned their loss, but their memories lived on. Rosemary's dream wedding turned into a heartbreaking tale that touched many hearts. Life can change in the blink of an eye. The tragic story of Rosemary and Udi's wedding day reminds us to treasure every moment. It's a reminder to always cherish every moment with our loved ones and to prioritize safety in all our plans. If you found this story as gripping as we did, hit that subscribe button and join us for more powerful tales. Stay tuned and remember, every second counts.